here's your host, Francis Mayer.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. Let's start that again from the top. Sometimes in life we need a do-over. Sometimes in life we need to straighten ourselves ever so slightly. I'm going to let this chair down because someone who isn't as tall and remarkable as me occupied it last. Welcome to the Renegade Report. I'm Francis Mayer, Sports Information Director for Bakersfield College Athletics, the greatest community college athletic department in the known universe. How do I know? Because I spend my days and often my nights in the company of 20 athletic teams and over 500 student athletes and the many coaches, administrators, and support staff who make their competitions possible. We see miracles a lot in the athletic department. We see young people who might not have come from the most promising of circumstances, but they come to our athletic department and they harness their God-given talents. And as Coach Judy likes to say, they harness hard work. And that's one of the few things in life that you can't buy and you can't fake. And it's one of the few things in life that you can control, the amount of effort you put into something. And often after their 2 years with us, they find themselves headed to a 4-year school, and sometimes it's paid for by scholarship. And that's the value of athletics in today's world. Lately, we have had a lot of triumphs. Volleyball recently improved to 8-8. They went down to the LA Pierce tournament, the 7th annual LA Pierce tournament, and Coach Carl Ferreira said that it was the first time this season that he's seen his team not be mentally prepared. Now, if you're familiar with Coach Carl Ferreira, you know that he's a guru of sorts. This story might illustrate best the type of personality that he is possessed of. We had a holiday party last year in the athletic department. It was Associate Athletic Director Keith Ford's first year in the department, and he likes to put on a party. So we had some coupons for burgers from a fast food chain, and Keith went to give one of these coupons to Coach Ferreira, and Coach Ferreira said, "I don't eat that." Okay, well, some people are vegetarian. Some just don't like burgers. So Keith says, "Well, give it to somebody you know." Coach Carl says, "No, I wouldn't give that food to anybody I know." He's a principled man and a man of virtue, and he believes that sports and life are both a progression. And last season, his team made the playoffs. He had a player who had a knee that needed to be surgically repaired. She was a sophomore. She was going to be done with us. And she controlled that one thing Coach Judy says we can control, the effort, the hard work. And she did. And she was eligible for the postseason. It was a tremendous achievement of the human spirit. And his team made it deep into the playoffs, despite maybe not looking like they were bound for the playoffs on paper. And we're going to check in with 2 athletes from that team, Miss Bomber and Miss Pope. They're both charismatic and fun and really, really entertaining to hang out with. And once you see the tape, I think you'll understand why. They're going to be at the Gil Bishop Sports Center on Friday at 6 p.m., and they're going to be taking on Moore Park, who they lost to in the first round of the LA Pierce tournament that I was talking about earlier. And that was the match that Coach Carl said they weren't mentally prepared. And Coach Carl doesn't really care about wins and losses. He cares about progress. And his team sits right now at 8 wins, 8 losses. And he said that match against Moore Park was kind of a turning point. It was kind of a recognition that when they're not mentally prepared and they're not focused, they're not even close to being the best volleyball team they can be. And the way that Coach Carl teaches volleyball and the way BC plays volleyball, it requires folks to be mindful. And that's something that Coach Carl encourages all the time. I was conducting a press conference in the team room of the Gil Bishop Sports Center. It's just outside the gym floor. And Rosebrook Hunt, a women's basketball great, was moving on to a school in Texas. And so I wanted to take a picture of her, one last photo of her, on the basketball floor. Like her plane was leaving later that day. And I had plenty of action pictures of her, but I just wanted one more shot of her on the planks in the Gil. So without checking to see who's using the gym, I barged in there with my camera, you know, all elbows and you know what's like I can be sometimes. And I took these pictures of Rosebrook, and I brought her coach in, a couple of her teammates. I mean, you know, we made a shoot of it. And Coach Carl comes over, and he says, without yelling, mind you. He didn't go Christian Bale. He says, Francis, we're having practice in here right now. And you've been to the Gil Bishop Sports Center. It's not a small room. It's not a closet. He said, what you did was rude. This is my classroom. This is where I teach volleyball. This is where I teach life skills. And you just came in and upset the apple cart. I feel like that was disrespectful to me and what I'm trying to do. And if he would have yelled at me and screamed at me, I could have blamed the yelling and screaming. But instead, he forced me to listen by being calm. And I've never forgotten that lesson. I've never forgotten the respect involved in checking in with someone who's doing something and making sure that you're not being a nuisance. And I've never forgotten, most of all with Coach Carl, that sports may seem like a macho exercise, a self-celebration to the uninitiated, but it's truly a vehicle for teaching young people and people with thinning hairlines about respect and about the better things in life and about a better way to live. So keep that in mind today as you watch the Renegade Report. We've got some wonderful pre-produced content, some interviews with our coaches and our athletes that I think you're going to enjoy. And coming up next, I believe we're going to check in with Coach Chudy of the Bakersfield College football team. Now, they're going to be on the road this Saturday. We're traveling actually to the Southland, Torrance, California, where we are going to face not the car, but the fresh El Camino College. And you can catch that game, of course, in high definition on Bakersfield.com, or you can listen on the radio on Kern, KERN, also the home of, I'm not going to say it, a show produced by Chris McCullough. Don't go anywhere. There's more Renegade Report coming up next.